Hello, welcome to the Crystal Crawford Show. Do you guys know that every time I start this show, I feel awkward? Well, now you know. Hi, welcome. So, I actually don't know how many of you are going to be live with me on this episode. In titling things, I'm aware of titles that pull people in and speak to what they think is going on, and then titles that sort of piss people off. And I think this might be one of those. I called this week, Are you creating a life that works or a life that's comfortable? So I'm fully expecting, some middle fingers, some fuck yous. Hi Christina. If I'm not getting that, I'm not doing my job. That's my point of view. But okay, so let's, for real. The reason I called this week's episode this is, hi Debbie, I have been engaging and chatting with a bunch of you over this last week. And first and foremost, I want to invite you to check out insiderclubshop.com. For the next 36 hours in real time, I am doing a big session giveaway. So for everything you purchase in that shop, you get a 15-minute free session with me. Because it's fun. But even if you're listening in the future and you go there, I plan on doing featured products for limited times where I give away sessions. So check out the shop. Having said that, I think a lot of us are on some sort of edge. Now, I've jumped over the edge multiple times. I've jumped over the edge recently in my own life, like recognizing that my business wasn't doing the thing that I wanted it to do and leaping into just a different stratosphere of creation and engagement. Letting people go, moving my team around, making some big changes. But here's a question I want you to consider right up at the beginning here. And I already feel like I've been talking an hour and it's been a minute. Hi, Lisona. Hi, Alexandra. Here's a question for you. What in my life requires a pivot for it to work? What in my life requires a pivot or a track change for it to work? So right now we're in the middle of a series, the 21-day experiment of clearing and asking with money. And I think I'm going to probably keep doing these because I've got about 25 people playing with me. And what's starting to happen as we're clearing out all these points of view about money, because you guys all know that you can only create money from being money, feeling it's not even feeling amazing, from being it. So if you're being worry or you're being lack or you're being stress or any of those other energies, you can't create money from there. So it's pretty essential that when you want your life to work, that you change where you're functioning from and you get out of your comfort zone so that it can work. Because basically what's happening when your life's not working is every single thing that you were doing up to that point that maybe even was working to a degree is no longer working. And this happens a lot, you guys, as we clear out our points of view, as we take access consciousness classes, as stuff changes in our life, we hit perimenopause, we lose a spouse, we lose kids, we go through change. Life stops working in the way that it did and it starts being new. And for me, that's kind of like every time I open my eyes, life's new. So it's extreme to different degrees for all of us. But the truth is that for life to work, you have to be willing to kind of live on your own creative edge. And so what happens a lot of times is by the time I get people in classes with me, there's been a lot of kind of banging your head against the wall, kind of trying everything to get it to work, right? And so where we start is clearing things out, clearing out presumptions, which, you know what a presumption is? It's that thing that just seems like it's a fact. So we just start clearing those out. We start clearing out the need to react. So when you go into stress and you go into worry and you go into thinking, all of those are needs to react. And then we start asking generative questions, because clearing is one part of it. You want to clear out the limiting energies that you feel don't give you access to another choice. Then you want to start asking for something new. And then you want to start taking action on every single thing that's possible. Now, this is where to create something that works, you can't also have what's comfortable, because usually taking action on everything that's possible is wildly out of your comfort zone. I want to tell you a quick story. So, oh my God, I could give you so many stories from my life, but okay, I'll give you two different examples. I'll give you one from my life and one from a friend's life. So in my life, the business stopped working the way that it used to. I changed so much over the last 2 years. I am so different. And 2 years ago, I put some things into the way that I thought they should be in order to create massive growth, and I have been trying to maintain those for the last 2 years. So long story short, as I'm navigating my way forward, which is what we all have to do in our lives and in our business, and learning and choosing and getting information, I finally recognized, like 2 weeks ago, that holy shit, I'm trying to hold in place what I decided was going to be the answer like 2 years ago. So the moment I had that awareness, I did this whole thing like, no more. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to give myself freedom to do whatever I want. If I could create my business any way that I wanted to, where would I start, basically? That's a great question, by the way. If you could create your life, if you could create your business any way you want, where would you start? Now, the truth is that you've got multiple starting points. This is true of anything. You've got multiple starting points, and none of them are right. They're just all choices. So I play with this enough and dynamically enough that this wasn't a super new question for me, and I was like, okay, where do I want to start? And I got some kind of instantaneous awarenesses. Now, awarenesses are different than thoughts. They come in like senses of things or impressions of things. So I had this sense of a desire that I've had to really reach new people. If you have an aptitude for social media, you can reach new people via creating a lot of content. I like creating content. It's fun for me. So there was a sense of like getting greater with reaching new people with social media. There was a sense of creating reach of new people through the people that already know me. There was this sense of really wanting to contribute to you guys in a greater, more engaged, interested way. So I had like 3 big senses. And this is how it works when you are moving forward on something. You ask a question and you're like, okay, where could I start? You might get nothing in the beginning. By the way, don't freak out if you get nothing. If it feels blank, go wash the dishes, have a coffee, have a walk. Do your life until you start to kind of get a sense of something. Because trust me, when you ask a question, awareness always shows up. It just never shows up when you think. So I got these senses, and then I started taking action on them. Now, when you take action on things, it's going to be very, 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 very whatever. Like, you guys ready for my fan? Fan reality? The action stage initially is always awkward. So here's my thing. So I want to be really, really good at reels. I want to be really good at short form content. Short form content takes a different muscle than sitting here talking to you guys for 30 minutes. You gotta really distill down your point. You've then got to communicate it in an elegant way that keeps people interested, that you would even want to watch. Man, it is a muscle beyond muscles. And so why do I want to do this? Just because I do. And also, I really love the way that it communicates, and I love it when things land for other people and land for me. So I started. So you guys might have noticed my social media has really changed. I'm like practicing my muscle of distilling down my message to 4 little graphics on a carousel or in a reel. So why? Because I can, because I want to, because it's fun, because when you do a really good job of that, it's very captivating and it gets me interested in other people's work, and that's what I want to be. So this is the thing about like, okay, creating a life that works. So here I am, moving forward with the business, like navigating how I want to communicate and what that looks like. First of all, I'm learning skill sets times a godzillion. I'm learning things about all kinds of things. And so I'm good at some of them, I'm not good at some of them. Everything's taking longer because I'm learning. In the middle of all of that, my life needs to work. And so I'm still putting out classes and like inviting you guys to things. So it's it's kind of a labor-intensive phase, right? In the recreation of something or the creation of something new, it gets more, I would say, labor-intensive. But it depends on what you're doing in what kind of labor. For this kind of labor, I'm like on my computer a lot. But I'll give you another example of something that I really, really, really wanted to change that was labor-intensive in a different way and was very uncomfortable. And Andres and I, when we moved here, we got into a lot of reaction. Both of us were just reacting to each other constantly. You guys may have heard me mention it. So in the last 4 weeks, with these new conversations in Access Consciousness, I started really going to work pock and potting a lot of the stuff that I was doing. And this is probably not new. I talk about this a lot, how I use the tools. But when I say that, I mean I'm like constantly using the tools. And I go through these phases in my life where they are more or less labor intensive. To really change the amount of reaction that I was doing and that he was doing and we were doing together took a lot of my waking hours of catching myself in the moment, pock and potting the need of reactive realities and the presumptions underneath them, and then asking myself, if I wasn't choosing this, what else could I choose? And I would say probably the last 4 weeks have been the most labor intensive that I've had since probably I started Access almost 10 years ago. So that hasn't been, so what I'm saying all that to say that when you want to create something new, something that works, and the need for something new comes from wanting something that works and is greater than what you have now. And to create something that works or is greater than what you have now, you got to be willing to get uncomfortable. And so it's like, if you really want relationships to work, you want your career to work, you want finance to work, what in your life requires a pivot or a track change for it to work? And what do you need to get to work on for it to work? Okay? So with business, for example, you may have to really work on your engagement to people thing. And you can engage to people via social media, but you've got to do social media in a way that engages people. You can engage to people in conversation, you can engage to people with phone calls, you can engage to people in a lot of different ways, but that might be a piece in your business that you need to get to work on. You need to get uncomfortable with, right? Like what would need to get greater there for that to work? In your life, for relationships to work, what do you need to get to work on for your relationships to work? And you're gonna see it on Instagram. I did a reel today. I started really looking at like, what's underneath things not working in our world for the most part, and where do those things come from? And because I have these incredible products in the Insider Club shop right now, they're brand new to the shop. There are 3 different calls that I did on clearing the presumptive and need for reactive realities with your mom, with family, and with your significant other. They're the least purchased calls in my shop right now. I also created solo clearing loops from those calls, so those are also there. And I have a bundle. Now, the reason I bring those up is because I was shocked when like so few people chose them. And I was like, do people actually get so for example, do people actually get, I'll tell you, when you don't trust yourself, for example, I had somebody say, okay, I asked Instagram, and you guys chimed in, what you would like change with. Here's what one person said. I would like change with not trusting myself and constantly changing the business I want to create. I don't trust myself. Okay. Where did you learn to not trust yourself? Did you just come in not trusting yourself? You know, did you come in non-functional, creating a life that doesn't work because you don't trust yourself? Or did you learn that from somewhere? I guarantee you probably learned it from your mom, your dad, your grandma, your family, and then you pulled it forward into your adult life, started creating from it, trying to create from not trusting yourself, and discovered that that doesn't actually work. That to choose things, you gotta at least be willing to be crazy, or you gotta trust you. Either one works, okay? So what needs to change then? The presumptions that you learned from your mom, from your family, and maybe the impact of the dynamic with your significant other. Can you see where I'm going with this? Here's another one. I would like to change, this person said, my true power and potency that I have been hiding so that I can create more money with happiness. Where did you learn? Did you come in not being powerful or not being potent? Or did you come in a kid? Kids come in and they're just like this bundle of power and potency. They're just like, like fireworks happened to the living room. Kids come in like that. And then we learn to judge. So who did you learn to not be potent from? Whose reality are you doing when you're not being power, when you're not doing potency? Are you doing your reality, or are you doing your mom's reality, your family's reality? Who are you married to? Who's the significant other in your life? What are they contributing to your life? How many of other people's, i.e. your family, your mom, and your significant other's realities are you doing with your life, and is it working? So part of what needs to change for something to work is to get out of our comfort zone with making them the problem, or, you know, constantly getting into a new relationship because that relationship's broken, or, you know, wondering, struggling and beating our head against the wall, wondering why things don't work, and actually getting to work clearing out the presumptions that we bought as real and the need to react. And guys, this need to react is huge. It's huge. It's like everywhere. So what in my life requires a track change for it to work? So track changes look all kinds of ways. Sometimes you need to track change and just get to work clearing the shit out of like everywhere you're judging. All the stuff. Sometimes you need to get to work building a generation muscle. Okay, so this is that thing of clearing, asking, and taking action on everything that's possible. Sometimes you need to get to work on asking more stuff. So, and then there's the get to work taking action on everything that's possible. So, so I want to brag on somebody here for a second. So Andres is, you know, we totally changed our life 2 years ago, right? We moved to a totally different country. I say this a lot. He made some major track changes in his life. He left the country where he'd been living 15 years to come back to a country that he thought he knew. Panama didn't turn out to be the country he thought he knew. He left his job. He left the comfort of knowing he was going to see his daughter on the weekends. He left a lot of different things and jumped into a situation where he was my support system almost entirely. I was his support system in a different way. And so in the last 3 or 4 months has been the time where we're sort of now kind of got our feet under us. We've got a place to stay. You know, we're a little more stable, I guess, not putting so much energy into thinking about where we're going to stay and sleep and move and all that. And have really been putting energy into building this new business here. Now, we have my business here, and we have another business called Workplace Stress Relief, which is nurturing bars, access bars into corporations. So I would say probably 250 people here in Cali, Colombia, have received a taster session from us so far. And we've done a few corporate events. But what's happening with that business is taking longer to kind of get legs and grow. And we had to sit down a couple weeks ago and really look at this and go, okay, we're putting a lot of energy into this thing that is working. It's working. It's just working a lot slower than we wanted it to work. And we're putting a lot of our energy there. So is that functional? And it was kind of comfortable because I have to be honest, it was comfortable putting energy there. There was a lot of building, a lot of putting things together. It was fun to build it. But I was recognizing that if we kept only putting energy there as if it was going to give us the results we wanted right now, our life was going to stop working. And this is the kind of stuff you have to look at constantly when it comes to creating your life. You have to stay present with, okay, if I keep putting all this energy over here and it's not really generating the cash I need, is that going to allow my life to work? Or do I need to acknowledge when this is going to come to fruition-ish, and also put energy into generating over here, so that my life works. So that was what we had to go through. So he made some track changes. He made some track changes. He's like, I have to get a job, which I didn't tell him. But what was really cool about this is he went like all over, he just like started searching and searching and searching and searching and searching. And he got so much information from this. And this is the reason I want to brag on him, is because he's incredibly skilled. Like, if any of you guys have ever coached with him, he can assist in ways that I don't see a lot of people able to do, the way his mind works with finance and everything. But business creates different for him than it does for me and anybody else. So this is the thing, you have to know yourself. You have to know how things work for you. For me, it really works to do what I do on social and in email and all the digital stuff that really just works for me. I really love it. It doesn't work that same way for everybody. So you have to recognize, is this the way for me or is there another way? So he's in the process now of recertifying in a couple of things, and also today got a different awareness because he's continuing to ask questions. What can I be aware of today? What's so easy for me to make money at that I have never considered? To create a service for the expats here as a native Spanish speaker and a person who knows both systems, to empower them to get credit and bank accounts and all that kind of stuff that when you don't speak Spanish here is really, really hard. And the reason I tell you that, all of that, this whole entire spectrum of things, some of you need to get to work, for life to work. Okay, so for life to work, you got to get present with what is. What's not working? What do you want to work better? Where do you need to put your energy for that to work? Do you need to put that into kind of clearing out your points of view, or have you been doing a lot of that? And it's time to ask some new questions and take action on everything that's possible. Or have you been asking a lot of questions and it's time to take action on everything that's possible? Or have you been taking a lot of action, but maybe you haven't been asking for anything? Have you been taking a lot of action and maybe not clearing out the presumptive and native reactive realities that would give you more ease? What of those three things would you need to strengthen and kind of get uncomfortable with in order for your life to work? And I'm going to wrap that up there. If something in the Insider Club shop would be a gift to you, I would love for you to have it. So please go check it out. Know that I'm running a 36-hour. For 36 more hours, you can get a free 15-minute session with every purchase when you shop over the next 36 hours. And if you're watching this in the future, check it out. See what special I have going on then. If you got anything out of this and you know a friend that needs it, will you share it with them and like it and comment so that other people can find it? And I'll be over here creating my life, and I will see you guys on social, and I'll see you next week.